the biggest factor.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high in the field artillery.
Well, there you go. That's the Army's theme. We'll be playing and paying salute to all of the service branch themes this morning on Veterans Day 2025, as the government is probably going to be getting back into action. People will be paid, including the military, hopefully, not missing a check through all of the travails of the last month and a half. Welcome into the Veterans Day edition of Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler, Stephanie Bell there, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. We are Wake Up Missouri. Glad you're with us. For all of you who have served, have supported those who have served, thank you. Thank you heartily, and congratulations for a good day, well-earned honor for your protecting this country and our way of life, which I think hangs in the balance in the wake of what happened last month or so. We do have other great news today. We have a lot going on. We have a big show today. Chris Arps will be on at 6:35. I want to ask him about the shutdown payoff. Where's the payoff? Where's the payoff for the conservative cause? Dave Griffith, who himself is, of course, a veteran, does a lot for Veterans Matters in the State House. Representative Griffith will be with us at 7:08. Brad Jones from the National Federation of Independent Business at 8:08 with his monthly report. This won't reflect, that, Stephanie, that business optimism index that he talks about every month is out. And it won't reflect, of course, the breaking news as far as things opening up. But it may reflect last month and, what happened over that shutdown time. And then J.P. DeGrantz is going to join us from Communio. It's like communion without the N, a group that we're going to talk about the faith basis of Veterans Day. There's a faith, connection there. I think many veterans probably come from that kind of a tradition, and we'll talk about that, as well as their mission to fill the relational and marital and family gap that exists in a lot of ministries today. So we're going to talk about that. And it's a cultural gap. We talked about it in relation to SNAP benefits, WIC benefits, homelessness, all of the problems with our breakdown of the family and what that's meant to America and what it's meant to our economy. It's what it's meant to our politics as well. So they're doing a lot to connect churches with that aspect of ministry. And at 8:35, we'll talk to J.P. DeGrantz from Communio. And we'll talk to you all morning. If you want to shout out for your favorite veteran, if you want to let us know about your celebrations this day, please let us know. 573-874-9390, the text line, 800-529-5572. John, celebrations going on in the Jefferson City area. We should talk about those. I know that Brian's reporting on local in the mid-Missouri area. And, of course, we want to try to get the word out about all of our listeners and where they have opportunities to go out and say hi and thank you to vets.
I think I know a lot of vets focus in on all the restaurants and places that are stepping up and giving folks a pat on the back.
That's great.
Hy-Vees all across the listing area are providing a free veterans breakfast that started 12 minutes ago and runs until 10 a.m., I think, for all veterans and active duty military.
And includes active duty. Good,
yeah.
Good. Well, that's right. Sure. And I think we celebrate everyone who has served and everyone that is serving for sure. And let's not forget the people that support the families, the other organizations that work so hard to support the families. I know of an organization in St. Louis I was involved with for a while called Heroes Care, that when service members are deployed and the furnace breaks down in Fulton and mom and the kids can't get warm, they would drop a furnace in. A lot of community organizations and contractors do that.
Amron's got a new deal, too, where they've put a bunch of money into a fund where if you're an Amron Missouri customer and you're a veteran and you're maybe on the edge of potentially having your service cut off, talk to them. They've got some funds they can ship your way up to $600.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. It's great to see. It's great to see. I think the country is really rallying around our military and our veterans. And as I heard the people, and did you see this, Stephanie, rallying around airport workers? I heard a report this morning that airport workers were so encouraged by people who were angry as hell at Congress. You know, they expressed that as they would go through the TSA line or whatever. But
thankful for the
very
people
thankful.
who showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you saw where Donald Trump wants to give them, the air traffic controllers that showed up, like a $10,000 bonus. Isn't that great?
It is.
I mean, that's a business mind. That's recognizing someone in your employ, because they are really in his employ, and saying, hey, you showed up, you answered the bell. In fact, you probably had to work overtime because someone else didn't answer the bell. Good for you. I'm going to reward you. And that wasn't announced early on in the deal. That was sort of they didn't know that recognition was coming. They weren't incentivized to show up because they were going to get a bonus, which is fine. I mean, I think we're all driven by incentives. That's not the point. But it's even better when it's an unexpected reward for something done, just doing an extraordinary job. So we shout out to that. Now, the Senate last night passed the formal passage of the continuing resolution with amendments, right?
Correct.
Next step, Mark Alford and Bob Onder and Eric Burleson.
Coming back to D.C. after a long hiatus.
And maybe there'll be a series, similar kind of thing. There's a vote to have a vote, to have a vote, to have a discussion about the vote, to have a filibuster. You know, they do all these procedural things. But then there's the final vote. That may occur, late tomorrow night, early into Thursday?
I think that's right. We're hoping for the official end of the shutdown here very quickly.
I'm not sure. Well, we'll get into it a little bit later. We're going to ask Chris Arps. I've been thinking a lot about. I had another sleepless night last night because I've been thinking about this.
That's bad for your health, Randy.
Well, I know, but I woke up early. Well, first thing was I got on the treadmill after a long day at work, and I got on the treadmill, and then I saw this news because I hadn't watched the news all day, and then I saw this news about the other great news today. We have Veterans Day today. We have the shutdown ending, which may or may not be good news, and I'll explain later on. And then the ultimately, unbelievably, I'm calling it Independence Day. Independence Day for the 40-something plus women of America. Independence Day.
Million women have been denied the incredible short-term. 50 to 70 million women have been denied the incredible short-term and long-term health benefits, including living longer, reducing the risk of heart attacks, which is the number one cause of death in women, because of this dogma that was magnified by the FDA black box warning, the groupthink of modern medicine. It's mind-boggling to me. Maybe one of the greatest screw-ups of modern medicine in recent time.
And if there's a reason for American women to be mad at, mostly American men, some women were involved in it, and some women doctors perpetuated the narrative that somehow estrogen and hormone replacement therapy is poison and only use it for a couple of years because it's the devil and it's going to kill you with fatal breast cancer and it's going to cause an early heart attack and a stroke and you're going to get dementia. For almost 2.5 decades, American women have been, I call it, abused and oppressed by a system that continued a narrative, and the FDA continued that with black box warnings that said, when it comes to breast cancer, cognitive decline, and heart disease and cardiovascular risk, that estrogen was just the devil, based on a study that was poorly designed and poorly interpreted. Those of us, many of you out there, I know you're in women's health, you're primary care people, other, and you've been fighting against that black box warning that scared the bejesus out of so many women from doing something that would have benefited, as Marty McCary, the head of the FDA, said, tens of millions of women that have had to suffer silently and not so silently because of the lack of hormone therapy and doctors that just wouldn't give it to them. Why wouldn't doctors give it to them? Because it's not for everyone. And you can have a stroke when you're on Tylenol. And because the box was there, and or you can have liver failure when you're on Tylenol. And if the black box warning says liver failure and one person out of 10,000 gets it, and there's a black box there, the doctor says, I'm not going to provide it for you because I might get sued. That's where that amounts to. And so many
talked
doctors
about blood clots and breast cancer and all sorts of cautions and heart attacks and strokes.
And I'll tell you, in
everything.
some forms of estrogen, natural hormonal therapy using bioidentical hormones for women that have not had a hysterectomy, you can show in some studies a slight increase over long terms of use of breast cancer. The problem is that does not translate to mortality. And even in an analysis of the initial study that led to the black box warning, despite a few more cancers here, guess what? There were fewer hip fractures. There was less colorectal cancer. There were other positives. And net, women lived longer. Longer. Let me say it again. Women live longer. If you look at studies well analyzed. So I called it Liberation Day. I posted on my site last night. I just had to come upstairs. I came up to the study and had to do a post. It's like it's Liberation Day for women across America. Finally, they can have that discussion and not feel like they're taking poison to make themselves feel better.
I know, Randy, you've talked before, too, about it being a quality of life thing for ladies going through menopause instead of having to suffer.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And this affects men, too, profoundly, because when women don't sleep, they are depressed, they have a bad outlook on life, they're miserable, and it hurts relationships, too. And men don't want to see their ladies suffering like they've had to watch for years. Doctors and nurse practitioners and PAs have had to watch that for years and basically been told by the federal government, well, you can do it, but I don't know. I don't know what you're doing for these women. Talk about the patriarchy abusing women. This is a prime example. Unfortunately, a lot of women doctors were standing there up at the podium saying the same thing for years. And now women doctors who were on this FDA panel that Marty McCary commissioned were among the loudest to saying, stop it, stop the madness. So they've taken away the black box warning about that. Yes, can you have an increased risk of certain things, especially if you have certain pre-existing conditions? Yes. But now feel liberated, women of the wake-up world, to have that discussion with your doctor. As early as your 40s if you're having menopausal symptoms. You don't have to wait. And the earlier you start it, when it's indicated, probably the more profound and beneficial impact for you. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Did I mention a good thing happened for women, Stephanie?
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. Remind me later so I don't forget, okay, Drake?
Will do.
I'm really jazzed over this.
I am too. More women alive, that's great.
Well, we want to have women happy and feeling well, right? That's what we want. Okay, when we come back, the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie.
It's Wake Up Michigan.
60. The nays are 40. The bill, as amended, is passed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table.
That's Eric Schmidt. Here's Stephanie Bell with the Daily DC Rundown.
Presiding over the Senate yesterday as the Senate passed a spending bill with a bunch of different things that we walked through yesterday that will potentially end the government shutdown. Of course, the House has to return from an extended 2-month recess. The House is expected to start voting as early as 4 p.m. or to vote at 4 p.m. Wednesday to send the bill. That's where they think the final vote's going to come in to send the bill over to Trump's desk. It does things like roll back some of the RIFs, the reduction in force that happened during the shutdown. It kicks the can. It forces a vote on health care. It kicks the CR to January, so potentially we're back here, although people are saying that kicking of the can, we'd only be engaged in a partial shutdown. It will keep the SNAP benefits in place, all of those things. So I don't think it's a win for either side here, Randy. What do you think?
Don't get me started. This is a shorter segment. Go ahead.
Okay.
We'll talk about it with Chris Harps.
All right, that sounds good. Some pretty big rulings yesterday out of SCOTUS. They declined to revisit the gay marriage issue, but they also, this is a big deal in my world, they decided to agree to hear a major election law case. You'd think that election day means election day, but not in all states. And so the RNC had previously brought a challenge to a Mississippi law. These are the laws that many states have. I think 16 states have that allow folks to, election officials to count ballots that are received after Election Day. It's kind of surprising because I was checking the Secretary of State's website. Ours have to be, if you're mailing it in, which there's some pretty limited parameters in Missouri where you can mail your ballot in, it has to be received before Election Day. Then it's counted on Election Day. On Election night, we know the results. You know, I was just recently in New Jersey, that their rules are different. And even though the election was last Tuesday, mail-in ballots, although they had to be postmarked by Election Day, they could be received till yesterday and still be counted. And we were thinking, well, this election could be close. Turns out it wasn't. But you're thinking we might not know the results because we're going to still be counting we're going to still be receiving the ballots in the mail next week.
Doesn't that seem crazy? Doesn't that leave a lot on the shoulders of the Postal Service? I mean,
you would think.
Because you have to anticipate that.
I once saw someone say, if you wouldn't put $500 in cash in an envelope and mail it, maybe rethink mailing your ballot in. Okay. But yes, so that's a big case, and that's expected to be heard by this and get a decision by this summer, which could potentially affect those states' election laws for the midterms. We are also hearing from Trump that he is floating, giving out a bunch of cash, $2,000 on tariff rebates. Also, he said he's going to give $10,000 bonuses to air traffic controllers potentially. On the tariff rebates, don't expect your $2,000 in time for Christmas shopping. There's no formal proposal on the table. And at least according to some speculators, Congress might have to sign off on this program. CNN also points out we've received only $220 billion in tariff money, and distribution to all taxpayers could cost $326 billion. Also, if you missed out on all the other payments that the government doled out during COVID as a high-income earner, you're probably going to miss out on this too, even if it does come to fruition.
Plus, to pay that first military paycheck in October, didn't they use some of that? And haven't they used some of that money allegedly to fill other gaps?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't grow on trees, Randy.
No.
They can print it, but it doesn't grow on trees. Also, Trump is threatening, we haven't really talked about this BBC thing, but we had some BBC folks resign amid some backlash over their edited Trump's comments from January 6th. Trump is now threatening to sue BBC related to that documentary and asking for a retraction. Yep.
Yeah, that was a big faux pas.
Yes.
Holy cow, the way they edited that. Wow. Hey, Chris Harp's coming up at 6:35. We'll ask the question, did the Republicans gain anything through the shutdown?
Has America been fair to Donald Trump? The people always know what's going on. I don't think the president knows how
shore, hail to the fall, until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
Well, there's the U.S. Navy theme as we continue to celebrate all of the great service and the protection and, the ultimate sacrifice in some cases, but and other, hardships that people go through to defend this country throughout our history. Here on Veterans Day 2025, and we'll be playing all of the military service branch themes. We welcome Chris Arps on this Veterans Day. Chris, your thoughts about veterans and the unbelievable service and sacrifice they make for this country.
Well, I want to say, first of all, happy Veterans Day to all our veterans that are listening. I want to send out a special happy Veterans Day to my father-in-law, Charles P. Davidson IV, who served in the Army in 1970. He's a proud West Point graduate, class of 70,
wow,
and served his country in Vietnam. So I want to thank him and all those who put their lives on the line to make sure that I'm free and we can talk about politics freely on talk radio and not have to worry about somebody coming to our door and kicking it in and taking us away and arresting us.
Chris, I have to ask you the question, as we're getting more and more distant from the reality of even though it's not over, the shutdown, it's probably over. You begin thinking about the so what of it all. And I'm beginning to ask myself the question, because I really haven't seen rainbows on the horizon in terms of this supposed vote in December. I haven't seen really any voice out of the House or the Senate that says, we need to advance our agenda because based on last week's election and the magnitude of the progressive movement, these midterms aren't looking too good. And I don't know. I'm thinking this may end up really playing to the advantage of the Democrats if the Republicans don't do something very disruptive and profound. What say you?
I think one thing, the Democrats, they're very dismayed today because they had a great victory last week and they were really flying high. And now these 8 Democrats who are not up for re-election until 2028 and 2030 voted to reopen the government. So they're demoralized right now. They're talking about replacing Chuck Schumer. But I think they have one thing that they did get out of this, and they'll be able to further use the affordability issue when it comes to these Obamacare super subsidies, as they're called. I believe that there is going to be a deal on these super subsidies, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to be means tested, and they're going to make sure that people making $200,000 or $300,000 a year aren't eligible for these pandemic subsidies. But I do believe that the Republicans don't want to go into the midterm elections next year with Democrats running commercials say they've cut people's health care.
But Chris, I've got to press you on that because, okay, so the subsidies affect, 20 million of us, right? Mm-hmm. What about the other, 320 million or 310 million, however you cut the numbers, that are paying the bills that are going to incredibly raise next year for premiums? They're not doing anything to address that I can see. I think that's a Kansas senator. I've got a clip of him saying we've got great ideas. Why don't they come out and say, we don't have a plan like you guys want? How did that last big organized government dictated plan work? In fact, ours is a decentralized plan. We're going to mandate that everyone needs to look at a major medical plan, but that can be underwritten based on your health status. It's going to be capped. It's not going to be the same for everyone, whether you smoke and drink and don't exercise and whatever, but it's going to be capped on what they can underwrite. I don't see anything disruptive coming down the pike. They're going to let the dysfunctional Obamacare rules stay in place, Chris. And until they blow that up, the rest of us are going to continue to suffer.
Well, I think first and foremost, Republicans have to come up with some type of plan, and we haven't seen a plan yet. President Trump said during this first term that he was going to try to reform Obamacare. We saw the famous thumbs down vote from John McCain to stop that. I think first and foremost, if we're going to replace Obamacare, Republicans have to come up with a plan, and we haven't seen that from the president, from the Congress, or any of that. So I think that's what's first and foremost. And I just think, and I agree with you, I mean, the super subsidies affect 20 people. These are subsidies that were put out during the pandemic. But unfortunately, when you're going into an election year, and we know the Democrats are going to use this, they're going to find some person that who premiums have risen 100, 200%, and they're going to say that their children can't afford insurance. And that's just something that you just can't have going into an election year. So I think the Republicans are going to bite the bullet on these subsidies. They're going to pass something. The president, John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, the House Speaker Johnson have said that we'll negotiate on these subsidies. You just have to open the government first.
Chris, as long as we're looking down the road to the midterms and all, I know you and your show partner, former Speaker Tim Jones, have talked long and hard about the court challenges to the Missouri and other states' redistricting maps. Where are you guys at on that right now? What do you think's going to happen?
That's a good question. I mean, first and foremost, we had the group that's opposing the anti-redistricting efforts. He told us about how Swiss billionaires and out-of-state dark money is funding this. So, the anti-redistricting people, they're going to have the money, they're going to have the funds to get their message out, to get the signatures that they need. So I think it's up in the air. I would love to see a 7-1 map, but in these type of situations where Democrats can control the narrative and try to say that this is unfair to folks, I think it's just up in the air more than anything.
Chris, as we talk again about I think the lost opportunity during this shutdown for the filibuster to be broken temporarily, they can put it back into place. What happened to voter ID? What happened to same-day voting? What happened to all of these great conservative agenda items that are not going to be pushed through because the Republicans just don't have the spine? Thomas Massey has a spine. Rand Paul has a spine. Chip Roy has a spine. The rest of them, they just want to continue to go along and get along to go along, I guess. And on the other hand, maybe that reflects an electorate that just doesn't really want true conservatism. If that's the case, I'm going to weep a lot. But is that the case?
Well, I tell you, I am a strong supporter of not eliminating the filibuster. I know that Republicans are frustrated of what happened with the Democrats being able to hold the government hostage. But I'm afraid if we get rid of the filibuster and you set that precedent, I think you're going to see Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. become states. I think you're going to see the nationalization of our elections. I think you're going to see a further erosion of our gun rights. I just believe, the filibuster is in place to have the minority, still have some type of power. And I think that we should still have that. And I applaud former Senators Manchin and Sinema for standing with Republicans and not eliminating the filibuster.
Doesn't that beg the question that they're former senators, and when the Democrats are in power, not if but when, you will see D.C., you will see Puerto Rico, unless that's the argument on the table, right? This is our chance. Mm-hmm. This is our chance. Maybe our last chance. We're in I think, a political civil war at this point. And isn't this our chance to show America what true small R republicanism looks like? What true conservatism looks like? Because if not, of course they're going to do that. They don't have a Manchin and Sinema anymore. They got a Fetterman maybe, but that's where it stops.
And that's what I was going to say. Maybe Fetterman. I hope that better people within the Democratic Party would rise up and say this is not something that we should do. Because I think, if you look at political wins, they always change. The pendulum swings. And I think Democrats, I hope that they'll realize that they do eliminate the filibuster and they pass some of the things that I just mentioned, which would be terrible for the country. I hope that they realize that Republicans are going to be back in charge too and can do things that they don't agree with. So I just hope that the better instincts of people prevail and the filibuster stays in place.
That's Chris Arps who prevails.
Short-term thing.
That's Chris Arps. He prevails with Tim Jones and Chris Arps on the Jones and Arps show on News Talk STL in St. Louis every afternoon, and he's going to. Would you take off your rose-colored glasses this morning, Chris? Chris is going to trust the Democrats to do the right thing, ladies and gentlemen. I think I just heard that. Did I just hear you say that, Chris?
I just think of 4 more Democratic senators with Puerto Rico and with Washington D.C. That'd be almost a permanent majority for them. I just see gun rights being eliminated. I just see elections nationalized. That's just a worse scenario for me than thinking the Democrats. Thinking that
I'm to the point that I believe that the American people, too many of the American people are disengaged from politics, and until they feel the momcommie way of life, I don't think they're going to vote the right way. I don't trust enough Americans to vote the right way because they're so disengaged. They're so indoctrinated into progressivism and accepting socialism that the only way that I think it's going to happen is maybe they need to suffer under 4 years of Democrat rule, and then the pendulum swings the other way. I'm ready to have that fight, but you're not ready yet.
No, I'm not ready for that yet.
All right. Well, I don't know. We'll help Chris take off.
This is one thing we're going to disagree about, Doc.
All right. Well, are you happy though? Aren't you happy that women can use hormone therapy and not feel like they're taking poison? That was a great thing that came out yesterday from the FDA.
I missed that. I missed that.
Well, we'll talk about that later on when we talk with you.
All right.
All right. Hey, thanks for being with us, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right. You too. Well, there seems to be disagreement. 573-874-9390.
Healthy disagreement.
I heard Chris say, I hoped the Democrats wouldn't pass Obamacare. How's that working out for you, everyone? Take a look at your premiums going up. Take a look at your lack of access. Take a look at taking so long to get in because your doctor's so clogged trying to take care of the bureaucracy and the insurance stuff. It's a disaster. It is a unmitigated disaster. We're going to revisit the hormone thing again and the Make Missouri Women Healthy Again. We're going to call this Make America's Women Healthy Again. Wouldn't that be MAHA? Make
Perfect.
America's Women Healthy Again when we come back. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
and many of your patients go through this, being a part of what I call the lost generation of women, the women that entered menopause at the turn of the century. It's very hard not to be distraught, and it's very hard not to argue that this is the greatest single failure of the modern medical system.
That's Dr. Peter Attia. His podcast, The Drive, is a good one for those of you that are healthcare fanatics and want to learn more about that. He's a longevity doc and does a lot of good work deciphering some of the data on long, healthy lives, as long as we can live them. And I think he is echoing what a lot of us have felt about the crime against women since the Women's Health Initiative came out in 2002. The next year, the FDA put a black box warning on that it is hazardous in terms of breast cancer, cardiovascular risks, heart attacks and strokes, and cognitive problems. Problem was that was synthetic hormones, estrogen and progesterone, in one arm of that study. The problem is they started it on average women that were 60 years old, which is not a real life scenario. And the problem is that even when you look at the worst case scenario analyses of that data set and followed those women for long periods of time, it was really still a very good case for longevity and wellness and quality of life for women. Just as a population of women going through perimenopause into menopause. We watched it. I watched my patients at that time go off their hormones that they were very happy with, just go off of them. 70, 80% just dropped them based on the news reports. I was on the media at that time begging people to wait. Let's settle down. And then they would come back into the office, at least 30 or 40% of them, according to data, saying, I feel miserable. And we said, yeah, but the FDA says it's dangerous for you. I don't know what to say. We don't think it's dangerous, but the FDA does. It was just a calamity. Well, Marty McCary at the FDA has brought some reason to hormone therapy for women. The black box warnings will be removed when it comes to cardiovascular problems, breast cancer, fatality, and cognitive decline. In fact, when given at the right time in the right way, the data actually supports the opposite. It actually supports a benefit for women. Now, that's not all women at all times in all ways given hormones. That's not the point. But I think that Robert Kennedy Jr. said a lot about this.
There's recently been a meta-review of 30 largest studies, 26,000 women, that show if you start taking it prior to 60, it actually dramatically reduces your risk of breast cancer. Not only that, but it drops the heart attack risk in women by 50%. It drops, there are studies that show it drops Alzheimer's risk by 35%, cognitive decline by 50 to 60%, and bone fractures by 50%.
And a woman has a higher chance of dying from an osteoporotic fracture in her late 50s and 60s, if she's in her late 50s and 60s, throughout the rest of her life than she does of breast cancer. That data hasn't been out there. Now, breast cancer is so very important. I'm not trivializing it. But to ignore the data and to withhold this therapy from millions, tens of millions of women has been really, I think, I agree, one of the greatest disservices done by modern medicine to women. And it's Independence Day, Liberation Day, Hallelujah Day for women who have been told that they need to suffer. And it's really a chapter in medicine that I just been very tragic. I know in the office we talk a lot with women about the very nuances of hormone therapy. There are some risks associated with it. But I continue to ask the question, why is it when a guy's 60 years old and his testosterone's low and he's having problems and he's irritable and he's having erectile dysfunction and, we say, oh, no problem, your T is low, we're going to replace it. Women, not so much. It's been a tragedy. I treat both, and I treat them with nuance, and I know many of the doctors now feel liberated to do that. When we come back, more on Wake Up Missouri. Stay tuned. Did we run out of time?
running a flame from under, off with one terrible roar. We live in fame, we'll go down in flame, for nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
Well, we continue to celebrate and thank and marvel at the great accomplishments and the service and the sacrifice made by our military members, service members across the fruited plains, across Missouri, across our listening area, and let's not forget those who support them. We thank Dave Griffith for his service, and Representative Griffith joins us now from the 60th District here in mid-Missouri. How you doing, Dave? Thank you for your service, and happy Veterans Day to you.
Well, thank you, sir. And it's a great day, especially here in Jefferson City. I'm at Hy-Vee right now serving coffee to the veterans here, so it's good to see all my fellow veterans.
It is great, and I think I know Hy-Vee is recognizing active members, service members as well, and I think that it's all a really big fraternity / sorority, right? All who have served really have that camaraderie that's really hard for those of us who haven't served to understand, isn't it?
It really is, and I think it really starts right from the very time when you go into basic and you have a battle buddy, and your battle buddy is you stay with him the entire time you're in basic. And my battle buddy that I had, he was from Minnesota. His last name was Griffin, and he weighed 230 pounds when he got there. And when he graduated, he weighed 170. So there was a lot of running involved. And if he backed out of the formation, I had to stay with him. So that's you learn it from an early age. So.
Griff, I know it was some good news this morning. It looks potentially like the federal shutdown is over, and I know we've talked to you shutdowns past about how upset that makes you and others, especially with those junior enlisted types like Randy's daughter and son-in-law, when they don't get a paycheck.
That's right. It really had concern to me because my grandson he's 2 years in. He just got back from Poland 2 months ago, and he called me on the phone and he said, "Grandpa, how's this going to work?" And that's one area where I think the Congress and General Assembly really needs to take a hard look at what happens and those that protect us. And we've got the same thing going on with our air traffic controllers right now. But the end, I'm glad the end is in sight. I think when you start messing with people's lives in the way that affects their income, and especially those that are protecting our rights that we have as Americans, you need to have a serious talk with yourself and find out, am I doing the right thing?
We're talking with Dave Griffith, of course, who serves in Missouri's 60th District in the state of Missouri, and upcoming session pre-filing coming up, and we want to get into that as well. He joins us here on Wake Up Missouri with John Marsh, myself, Randy Tobler, Drake Whitman, and Stephanie Bell.
Yeah, you've been a big advocate for veterans in the state capitol building. And so, we're about, a month away from pre-filing. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about what, if any, veterans legislation you expect to come up in the next session, and then any other priorities that you're aware of thus far?
Sure. Yeah, this being my last year in the House, I'm really kind of trying to focus on bills that I've carried for the last 7 years that haven't made it across the finish line. I had a talk with the Speaker about kind of what my priorities were, and some of the bills that he referred last year to committees that were veteran bills, he didn't refer to my committee, but referred to other committees. And I explained to him the fact that those veteran bills, if you don't have veterans on the committee, they don't fully understand the impact it's going to have. But the one veteran bill I am going to carry is the 100% disabled veteran personal property tax exemption and homestead exemption. It came real close last year. It came within a week of getting across the finish line. I've had assurances from leadership that's going to make it this year, but that affects 15,000 veterans across the state of Missouri. And it doesn't seem like a big number, but for those veterans that have, and this is all in-service related disabilities, it's not they're working somewhere and got disabled and can draw that, but it's important for them, but it's also important for their spouse. So their spouse gets that same exemption if they should pass away. And I talked with a lot of the county collectors across the state and county assessors, and to the person, there was not one that said, I'm in opposition to that. When you look at the fiscal impact it has on those counties, it's not that great. When you get into larger, and really our larger population that we have, veterans are going to be in the metro areas, and it's really kind of a wash for them. But for veterans that are 100% disabled, it's a really big deal for them. Many of them are living on fixed incomes and paying their personal property tax and paying their real estate tax, homestead tax. That could be a big deal. I think we saw last year, some questions that were raised about in the homestead, how much property are we talking about? And I think in the homestead, it talks 5 acres. We reduced that in my bill to 2.5 acres. So it's going to lessen the impact it's going to have on those communities. But that's going to be my big priority bill. The other bills that I'm looking at, I've talked to Sergeant Major Schulte. He's my vice chair on my committee, and I hope that he's going to take over in my place. And so Jim and I are kind of looking at bills and assigning those to committee members that are on the Veterans Committee so they can be assigned to my committee.
Griff, we've talked to House leadership, Senate leadership, and especially the governor in the upcoming 2026 session, and the big focus on the budget side is to pare things back and get meaner and leaner. Are you concerned that could affect some funding for those bills, especially affecting Missouri's veterans?
Well, the one thing that I've done, John, and I think you've known this for the last 7 years, I've had this almost the same speech with every speaker and with every budget chair that we've had, and that is the fully funding the Missouri Veterans Commission, and that could be done with the stroke of a pen, allowing $50 million to go every year to the Missouri Veterans Commission, then having the gaming money and the marijuana money go into a separate fund, which is the Veterans Foundation. Missouri Veteran Foundation, that takes care of deferred maintenance on the homes as well as on the cemeteries. If we were to do that, it would make the Missouri Veterans Commission whole. In the grand scheme of things, $50 million is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, $50 million in the House is not that heavy a lift. You're right; it's going to be tough this year, and it's going to be tougher next year and the years following. Although I was encouraged to see in the paper that the revenue in Missouri has gone up from where it was last year, so that's a bright light for me. But I think that through collaboration, through relationships, I think we can get it done. We just have to make a strong story. I think Dirk Deaton, I talked with him a couple of times. But if you're not a veteran, you really don't understand it. But that's what I think part of what our job is to do, is to educate our fellow colleagues and leadership as to why those bills are important.
Dave, we do want to talk about the fact that you're term limited, and this will be your last session, right? And you've announced back in the summer you're going to be running for another public role. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I actually, Randy, when I hadn't planned on this, I was going to wait until after I was out to figure out kind of what my next steps were going to be, and Steve Korsmeyer, who's the county clerk at this point, announced he was not going to run again, and there were some people on the committee that reached out to me and said your name came up, and we wanted to see if you'd be interested. And I said, well, I have to talk to my wife first. And so I talked with her, and she said, I think it's a great idea. But, Randy, I think the truth of the matter is I don't think she wants me home all the time. So, but in all seriousness, I don't feel like I'm done. I think my service to my county, my community, is not finished, and I want to try to continue that. So that's what I'm going to do. But before one thing I do want to talk about that I think is important, especially for my Vietnam veteran comrades, if you have not been on the honor flight, you need to go. Now, the honor flight in Central Missouri has ended. I was on flight 65, and it was one of the best experiences I think I've ever had. But the honor flight in Springfield is still going on, and so if you miss the honor flight here in Central Missouri, I would encourage all my Vietnam veterans to sign up for that. It's a healing experience that you have like none other you can ever approach. And so I would encourage you to do that. The Mid-Missouri honor flight we've got on the bus that Bear takes down to Perryville, that's awesome as well. But being on a plane and flying and walking through Reagan International Airport and having the entire airport stand and applaud you, will bring tears to your eyes. So I want to get that plug in before I get off.
Well, that's a great idea, and I know whenever we can support that, we were there this year back in the winter time, supporting that great mission, and they do a fabulous job in Springfield. All the great volunteers there. We met a whole bunch of people. So yeah, we would encourage all the people in our listening area to make sure and get the shout out for honor flight participation for your favorite Vietnam vet. Well, Representative Griffith, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate your service on this Veterans Day. Congratulations
Yes, sir.
and thank you to you.
Oh, thanks for having me on. And I just happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans.
All righty. Have a great one.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All righty. Well, great public servant there.
That's right. 50 years since Dave was in Army Special Forces, and they've got him back doing KP at Hy-Vee this morning.
That's right. He's doing KP duty at Hy-Vee. Wonder if he's going to have to bust the tables, too.
Probably is.
And he would do it with a smile. There
you go. Yeah, the Hy-Vee, all over the state of Missouri, like many places, they're offering up a free veterans breakfast until 10 this morning.
And we have to say, during the shutdown, they were giving, at least last week, I know, they were giving reduced meals to adults and free breakfast. I think, was it breakfast for adults and children, and free ones for children. So reduced.
And I think Hy-Vee is doing a discount on your groceries if you're a veteran today as well.
Oh, great. Super job for Hy-Vee. We thank everyone, all of you business folks who are recognizing our veterans today. Hey, when we come back, let's talk a little bit entertainment, your favorite Christmas movies, and we talked about how YouTube didn't carry the Tigers game, and, they're not carrying Disney and the various subsidiaries of them. Well, they apparently are reaching out and saying, we're sorry, and showing it on your bill, but you have to jump through a few hoops. We'll talk about that when we come back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Is it too early to start talking about Christmas movies, Stephanie Bell?
I think so. I've seen a lot of trees up on my Facebook page and Instagram so far, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I did hear from my sister, and I got a video yesterday. It was snowing in Nashville.
No.
Yes, it looked like a snow globe.
I'll have to ask Shannon, my daughter. She lives in down there in Fort Campbell, which is just a little bit, I guess southeast of there. So I imagine she's getting snow. Is it just a dusting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Upper Midwest got it good, though.
So what's the deal? I have to admit, the other night we started into a movie. It's on Prime called Red One, sort of like Air Force One or whatever. But it's Dwayne Johnson is the bodyguard for Claus, for Santa. And so, I mean, early on you find out basically Santa gets kidnapped. So that's where we got lost. But it's funny and it's well done. The technology involved is really cool. So we're already thinking about Christmas movies. Yeah.
Why is it always an old flame? I saw a summary of some of the movies, the releases that are coming out in 2025. So the Christmas of Giving, you might add to your list. Yeah. A nonprofit director facing dwindling donations and job uncertainty reconnects with an old love.
Are these new or old?
These are new.
Huh.
I believe.
Christmas of Giving. A nonprofit director.
Upcoming releases.
Well, that's probably true. That could be real life. I think nonprofits have been hurt a little bit.
Christmas Above the Clouds. A workaholic tries to skip Christmas but reconnects with her ex on a flight to Australia. That's kind of like the holiday. That's one of my favorites. Remember when they do the house swap? It's like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, yes.
And they, they're both like in a bad place and they're like, I'm getting out of town.
Right.
And then everyone falls in love, kind of. It's real sweet.
I am just such a inertia-driven Christmas movie guy. I have to watch A Christmas Story. When the father's down in the furnace room, the kids always love it. They say, "There's Dad." Darren McGann, love that. Remember? And then they're changing the tire, and he says the little guy says the F-bomb. And it's just
and they get the lamp that's marked Fragile.
Yeah, Fragile. Holiday Touchdown. A Bill's love story. Is this a takeoff on the Chiefs?
I think so.
Movie from last year? Was it last year or year before?
I think
the
it was
Chiefs?
last year.
Yeah. A pediatrician and a stadium exec discover love while uncovering a family Christmas mystery in Buffalo.
So cute.
You got to go with some of the classics, though, and we don't mean It's a Wonderful Life. I think, well, if it's kind of R-rated, but Bad Santa's a classic.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
National Lampoon Christmas Vacation's a good one. And probably in the modern era, one of the most popular Christmas movies of all time, Bruce Willis and Die Hard.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Do you have one, Drake? Or more?
Our family will, religiously, almost every day of December, watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's a staple in our household. I love The Family Man. I can't believe... Have you watched that movie?
I don't think so.
No. It has Nicolas Cage, and he, sees a magic guy, and he lives a family life. He's like this big banking exec, and then he learns what having a family's like.
Oh. Does he get put out to pasture or something? Or
no? What?
What's the movie where the guy is promised a bonus and he doesn't get it? Or there was some, I don't know. And then there's a Tim Allen Christmas movie.
Santa Claus.
Yeah,
that one's
movie.
pretty good.
That's a funny movie. What about Elf? Good movie, huh?
My mom has a cardboard cutout of Buddy the Elf.
Oh, that's
and she.
I love Home Alone.
Really?
Yeah.
Home Alone. There you go.
I love that movie.
Would Home Alone even be allowed to be made today? It's sort of like Blazing Saddles. I don't know.
I think
leaving their kids at home. Oh my God, we can't do that. Oh no.
I think Blazing Saddles a little bit more extreme, but I get what you're saying.
You couldn't do All in the Family these days. You really couldn't. When we come back, more on Wake Up Missouri. And by the way, the YouTube story. I'm going to tell you about the YouTube story. If you get YouTube TV, you'll want to listen up at 7:35. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. We have to talk about this YouTube TV thing. Many of you are streaming using YouTube TV. It came up on the show about how, I think, Drake, you were very frustrated, dare I say angry, that you couldn't access YouTube. You couldn't access the Tigers game this weekend.
I just bought a ticket, and I think it would have been cheaper than, upgrading the package.
So I know a lot of you will play the game of getting you sign up for the trial package or the month-long membership, and then I tried to do that. I forget it was. Was it the Cotton Bowl I did that for last year? I don't know. At one of those games. And then I forgot to cancel the next month. It's like, there you go. So YouTube, though, has come up with I think, an interesting, we're sorry, and thank you for using us. For those of you who stream YouTube TV, this is real news, right, Drake? I mean, this isn't like fake news.
This is like whether you can watch the game or not.
Yeah, right. I mean, just anyone. So they're offering a $20 credit.
Which, isn't it like $110 a month?
I think we pay
it's closer to like 90.
We pay 82 or 83, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for a lot of people, don't they mainly have it for sports?
That's the only reason I would ever have
right.
YouTube
So
TV.
$20 seems like.
Yeah, I don't have it for that.
But they're only missing out on two stations. It's ESPN and ABC. And then all the other stations that are taken off are like the Disney Channel and other like Disney-owned stuff. But you get a lot of sports. You just don't get all of it.
You don't get the games that you want.
So this happened on October 30th due to they can't come to a contract agreement. And so we, according to them, quote, "We want you to know how deeply we appreciate your patience. In light of the disruption, we're offering our subscribers a $20 credit." This was in an email on November 9th. I don't think I got the mail.
Well, and what's even worse is that it's not like an automatic $20 credit. You have to go apply. They don't just put a credit on your bill. You have to go apply for it in your account or whatever.
It's sort of like those rebates. I think companies must have some data on rebates when you have to send in coupons and do this and that, and they sit on the top of my dresser and then they expire.
You can't even remember to cancel your subscription. Are you going to take time out of your day to go fill out their form to get your $20 credit? Probably not.
Well, you go to tv.youtube.com on a web browser. You select your profile picture. Mine's the bald guy.
I'm already over it. That's already too many steps.
Select settings. In the left menu, select updates. Select claim credit. That's 5 clicks. It's not bad.
No.
I got on there. I was right in the midst of it and clicked on YouTube TV. And I'm like, what are all these just little brief preview things of the ball game? Finally ended up going to the other TV with the good old rabbit ears and watching the ball game.
You've got a rabbit ears TV, huh?
Yep.
I have rabbit ears.
I need to set up some rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Do they have to be outside or can they be?
Mine are in the house.
One I've got is what they call a Yagi, a big outdoor antenna. We can pick up a bunch on it.
Do you? Is it like when you put that up, was it like a Christmas vacation thing? You up on the roof lumbering around?
Wasn't too bad. Lived out in the boonies long enough and had plenty of TV antennas over the years.
So where do you buy an antenna like that now? Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore. That used to be my favorite place. I loved Radio Shack.
Big box stores and all that. Get them online.
Yeah. Is Radio Shack still in business? Or
I think they're long gone.
Remember, you could buy these. Remember, I bought a radio. I used to put together little radios that I could listen to. You ever put together a Heathkit radio or any of those little crystal radios? Yeah.
Crystal radios? Oh, yeah.
They're fun. Drake's breaking up here. There's
they
value.
Used to have a Circuit City. Do you remember those?
Oh,
they
yeah.
had one of those in Columbia where you could get some.
Well, yeah, it was there across stadium from the mall, right?
Right.
Yeah. Where Best Buy is now, no? Or in that area? No, in that area. Yeah,
area.
Yeah, north of Best Buy, yeah. Best Buy's still in business. They're doing good.
Yeah, Best Buy is not Radio Shack, though. I mean...
No, I know, but I mean...
I've heard of stories of Radio Shack. It's like Blockbuster. And for my generation, we don't know what that is.
So Radio Shack is where I bought the kids, Sean, predominantly the son. The girls weren't too much into it. But so that's where you could buy the first little remote control cars for your kid for a Christmas present, right? I mean, you could get them, and I mean, now you can get them anywhere. But
a lot of towns, they were the only place you could buy stereo equipment back in the day.
Yep. Bought some nice headphones there. Bought shortwave radios from there. I was a shortwave radio listener. I had this big map on the wall, And before there was streaming, Drake's laughing. Huge global map. And I would sit down in the basement till all hours of the morning, and I had a long wire antenna strung from a corner of the house to a tree in the backyard. And it had to be twice the wavelength. You had to cut it to the wavelength that was your favorite listening wavelength. And then and you would string this, and then you could listen to, I could listen to Radio Ecuador and China and Cuba and Radio Moscow.
That explains so much.
It's a lot of fun.
Did they also have hay and a place to put your horse whenever you ride into Radio Shack?
No, dig this. And then you would send a QSL card. You would ask them, hey, I listened to this broadcast about farming in rural Nigeria on Nigerian radio or whatever. And they would send you a postcard then from their station, a little shiny postcard that acknowledged that. And you would pin that to your global map. It was fun. You see, Drake, there's always, without all of your high tech stuff and your super smartphones and your video game, you can have a lot of fun and you can be creative in your mind. That's what got me into stamp collecting too, because then I would match the stamp to the country I was listening to on the shortwave radio.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering, back in your day, did you have turn signals with the Amish people? Because we have to put up signs to not hit them. Was that kind of the way that you got around back then? Carriage and buggy?
John, the denigration, the ageism
terrible,
going.
Isn't it?
There is
Terrible.
rank ageism going on in this program right now. I'm going to HR after this segment.
Okay, I want to point out to the listeners, you might have missed it. He said you dig it very quickly, and you might have skipped over it. But oh my Lord,
what's wrong with that? It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, maybe back in the 50s.
It's hip.
Yikes.
By the way, we didn't cover a story last week that was out, and I don't know, I have to go retrieve it from the archives. But there was a story that rap is not really the surging predominant genre now. Country is surging, and sort of pop country is surging. Did you see that story?
I mean, I live that story.
I know. But we didn't get around to it. But it was interesting. I just thought that it's funny how the musical whims ebb and flow, right?
Now look at all the country signals we have in this company alone.
That's right. Think
We've
about
got
it.
a half a dozen country stations.
Award-winning, we might say. Yeah.
Mid-Missouri and Springfield.
Yeah. I'm glad to see it.
Well, the reason they haven't put in a rap station is because they know here at Zimmer is because they know that I would immediately go there and make it so good that it'd outshine every other station. I would be such a good rap DJ.
With your accordion?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good.
Accordion rap. That's the new genre.
Weird Al Yankovic goes hip-hop.
Oh, man, that's a visual. I love it. Well, but you are musically inclined. You get points for that. Even if you don't appreciate the ways of self-invention, where you didn't have all this incoming AI generated, all this stuff coming in,
AI started in 2023, Randy. I wasn't even in high school. I was graduated from high school when AI
You did graduate.
started.
Oh,
yeah,
wondering.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
We also
it
use
is radio. You have to ask.
I know. And in other news, did you hear the bad news? According to the Babylon Bee, Dave Ramsey is in the ICU.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, he heard about 50-year mortgages.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Saw that one coming.
Hanson,
You freaked
Brian
me
Hanson
out.
sent that to me. I had Stephanie going on that one.
You did. You were so serious.
Okay, thanks to Brian Hanson for sending that my way.
Good.
All right, let's bring
he seems
even.
like one of those guys who's just going to live forever,
Yeah, I think so.
right? I think so.
And debt free.
Right.
I mean,
Let's continue
Don't
the
spend beyond your means.
let's continue the absurdity when John brings you his segment in a little while. What do you got, John?
You have to wonder when your FaceTime partner asks, "Is it drafty in here?"
All right. Well, energy prices are going up, Let's listen to John when we come back.
It's Wake Up
except for this.
During a virtual hearing in the 36th District Court, Detroit, police officer Matthew Jackson showed up to testify about a woman he arrested charged with drag racing and disorderly conduct, but you know where this is headed. He forgot one important part of his uniform, his pants. "Got some pants on there, officer?" asked Judge Sean Perkins. Jackson replied, "No, sir," and moved the camera up so his bare legs could no longer be seen. The hearing continued. He was apparently wearing underwear with his uniform shirt. His rank and file bosses apologized, said they would remind all Detroit officers about proper etiquette and dress codes for virtual hearings. His lawyer, Tatanisha Reed, said it was an interesting day in the courtroom. Meanwhile, Glasgow, Scotland's city councillor Hanif Raja dropped into a virtual planning meeting, but forgot to turn his camera off when he sat down on the pot. BBC reported another councillor said, "Honorable Raja, are you aware your camera's still live?" prompting him to explain, "I'm diabetic and I need frequent comfort breaks. The button was pressed and I didn't notice." They said they would send it to their IT people to edit the video after the fact.
And we all remember the famous Jeffrey Toobin moment on CNN, right?
Yeah, buddy.
I'm terrified that I'm going to have a break, like I have a faux pas of some sort. Usually, I mean, I will caveat that with I am always fully clothed.
Yeah,
but
right.
sometimes
you know who we
my
need to
makeup
quiz?
is not on, and sometimes you
Yeah.
really have to go. You have to use the potty. And it's like if your calls are stacked up all day long, sometimes I am literally like running from call to call. And so I'm always like, I'm just going to risk it. I have to go pee. But so that's terrifying, though.
You know who we really need to quiz on this is longtime TV veteran news anchor, none other than Congressman Bob Onder, and ask him what he had on under the sport coat when he was sitting at the anchor desk.
Oh, you mean Mark Alford?
Mark Alford.
Yeah.
Mark Alford.
Mark Alford. Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, you're right.
And, you know, those news anchors, you see those clips sometimes where they get caught on a hot mic or they don't know that they're back. And, you know, it's a risk. And the other people that get caught frequently, and I've seen some clips of this, are now all the preachers typically are mic'd up.
Yes.
And, you know, it's been.
Ooh, hot mic.
Oh, yeah. They've been known to, run to the bathroom, before the service and accidentally have the mics on, which is horrifying.
I saw recently, I forget which platform, I saw a video of Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, recording some kind of a motivational video for investment or something, and he's sitting there, he's got some kind of holy jeans, look like he just changed the oil, but up top he's got his usual splashy, top and, the sport coat and everything. It's hilarious.
I mean, I keep a blazer on the back of my door, and sometimes, I think from, just if you just see the headshot, it looks a little bit more professional than the rest of my outfit probably gives off. But I think that's fair. I mean, in today's world when you're kind of expected to be on all the time. But think about, was it Katie Porter who had the staffer in her shot and she starts screaming in the middle of the video? That's horrifying.
Was awful. That was horrendous.
I had one of those moments my freshman year of college. I was in my dorm room and I was getting my dress pants cleaned, and I was like, this is it was a final project too, of course, and I had to present and I had no pants on and I had to let my roommate in, and I sat there for a solid 3 minutes while everyone else was going debating, should I get up, do all this, and if you turn off your camera you get no points.
Oh no.
So while someone else was doing their presentation, I shot up in my tighty whities and let my roommate in.
I would have crawled on the floor or something.
No, I mean, I had no shame. I was just it's fine.
College
it was only a
kid,
Oh no.
It was less than 50 people in the class, so it wasn't too many people saw me.
That's hilarious.
That's good.
Well, we continue to watch what's going on with shutdown land. We don't want to have that lost on us. I mean, the Senate finalized its vote on that continuing resolution to fund the government for the vast majority of the government through January 30th. And for 3 departments, 3 projects, right? The ag, is that the entire USDA budget? Yeah?
I don't.
Military construction.
Military construction.
Veterans benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear active service members for a year. And what was the third bucket? There was another one. But the other thing is they're letting people that were released. I mean, like, remember when they were talking to Trump and say, I'm going to take advantage of this and I'm permanently
reduction in force.
They're calling those people back.
Yep.
Yes.
Back pay and future projected.
And I think there's a limitation on until January of them doing further reduction in forces.
And then for a promise of a vote on health care in December, not otherwise specified that I can see. What the heck does that mean? I think the good old GOP, the grand old party, got grand old pooped on this one. I think they lost. I think the GOP lost on this one.
Yeah,
I think they're going to regret
down
this.
the road.
Yeah, they're going to regret this. It was their opportunity to really have the bully pulpit, to really seriously reform health care, to get through some election reform. I know you talked about the Supreme Court's going to be talking about, late ballots, maybe addressing that, right?
Yeah, a really big case coming up. The Supreme Court agreed to hear an election law case about mail-in ballots and counting ballots after Election Day. And so I think in 16 states, as long as you postmark your ballot by Election Day, if it comes in by, sometimes as much as about a week later, they still count your ballot. And, I think it's a pretty common sense argument for the RNC to make. Hey, Election Day in the law means Election Day, not a week after Election Day. And so they challenged this Mississippi law. It's going up to the courts, and we're expected to get a decision this term, which means it could impact the midterms.
However, if we've blessed voting in person on other than Election Day, haven't you technically voted if you get your ballot into the box and the postman picks it up by Election Day? I don't know.
I think it goes to people's confidence in the election and in having a result on Election Day as best as possible. And if people, if the election's close and you're having to wait 2 weeks to figure out who won, I think it really hurts your confidence in your elections.
Yeah. Well, good point. Let's see what the small business community thinks about the shutdown, about what may be the consequences of the shutdown when we talk with Brad Jones, NFIB, in 10.
Stephanie Bell.
Gasoline is down, interest rates are down, so mortgages are down, and I think we are making substantial progress.
The Zimmer News Team.
And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First we fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor free. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Well, to all you Marines who, of course, celebrated their 250th anniversary of that branch of the service yesterday, but today we celebrate all of our service members who have valiantly given their very best and now sometimes live with the scars of war. We thank you for your service and all of those who serve presently as well. So on this Veterans Day 2025, lots of celebrations going on at schools. Representative Martin reminds me that many of the area's schools have recognition ceremonies. I hope they're having nice, recognition, gymnasium events for the kids to really recognize how important the service is to our country one way or another. Many do it in the military, others do it in other ways. Joining us now is Brad Jones. And Brad, I know on this Veterans Day, you have many businessmen and women in your ranks that are members of the NFIB who have served in one or the other branches, and we want to salute them today as well.
Absolutely, we do. That was the first thing I was going to say this morning is that, hey, thank you to all of our veteran-owned small businesses out there. You're continuing the fight, that's for sure. It's been a little rocky for the small business community in the last 3 to 4 months. We got our Small Business Economics Trends Survey out this morning. It comes out at actually 6 o'clock in the morning, the day that I visit with you. So, Randy, you guys get the fresh stuff.
Well, we do, and I know it's been a time of uncertainty. Business is always a challenge. The winds of economics and political policy and things out of their control dictate environments in which they have to navigate, and that's why sometimes the people who have served in the military are among the best businessmen and women. Why? Because they're resilient and they just have to deal with whatever theater they're operating in, and they find a way to make it through. But it's been a bit extraordinary. I mean, in the last month and a half with the shutdown and before that, the tariffs. I mean, there's a lot of turbulence.
There's a lot of turbulence. And, whether that directly affects your business or not, it does affect your mentality. and if you if you have a perception out there that maybe you need to pull back the horns a little bit because of all the chaos that's going on in the economy, then it does affect your business. And I think we've seen this with the report for the last 6 months, where everything looked really great coming out of the summer, and then kind of into the fall. We've had some stumbles. We're still at about the 30-year average, which is at 98, but we dropped 0.6, which isn't real dramatic. I mean, we dropped 3 last month, so that's a pretty good drop. We dropped 0.6 this time. A couple of things that I wanted to highlight.
And Brad, let's interrupt there. For folks who are just joining us, we're talking with Brad Jones, Missouri Director of the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business. And the metric you're mentioning there, the 98 30-year average, that is the Optimism Index? Is that sort of the headline number?
Optimism Index.
Okay.
The Optimism Index, I'm sorry, thank you. We've been doing this since 1973, and we ask our members a series of about 10 different things, and they tell us every month kind of what they feel about these 10 things, and then they put it together in a kind of a matrix.
Okay. Good.
And so it kind of goes up and goes down. Sometimes it goes up just a little. Sometimes it comes down just a little. Normally the swings are not too dramatic, but sometimes they can be. Elections tend to make them swing one way or the other. But there's 10 things: plans to increase employment, capital outlays, increase inventories. Do you expect the economy to improve? What about sales? Inventories, are they too low, too high? Job openings, credit conditions, good time to expand, and earnings trends. So for this month, unfortunately, the one that you and I, Randy, talk about the most is the one right in the middle that says, do you expect the economy to improve in the next 6 months? Last month, it really took a dump. It was down 11. And for October, now this is for the month of October, it dropped another 3. So that's 14 points down in the last couple of months, which is pretty substantial. The other one that really dropped this month, though, that kind of kept the optimism index from being at least sort of positive, non-positive, is the earning trends, and that's profits. Are you making any money? And that was down 9 this time, and it was plus 3 last month. So it tells me that maybe out there, what's going on is, once again, they're trying to hunker down and just sort of make it to Friday, make payroll on Friday, because the inventories for last month were down a lot. They were up. They were a little better this month. Job openings in the labor market, I think, is still the overreaching problem that they're having with small business. And something that I think is a little bit disturbing is that we had 58% of our members told us that they tried to hire in September. This last month, though, it dropped 2 points. So it's 56% reported that they tried to hire people. And that's a little bit discouraging, because that means we've got less small businesses out there even trying to hire. And even when they are trying, the same number pops up every month. It's anywhere from 85, 90% of them can't find the people that they're trying to hire. So, I mean, that's a little bit disconcerting. And compensation, which is probably, at least for the overall economy, when you're looking at inflation, they have backed off a little bit on having to raise compensation to hire people, but
all right,
so they're still not getting the people that they need to work. And I know they're sitting out there probably working 60 hours like they always have, as the small business owner tends to do when they can't get the people that they need.
Well, what I'm hearing is that things on Main Street aren't like we're hearing about things on Wall Street, and I've been worried about that. I've been really worried. That's Brad Jones. He's with the National Federation of Independent Business, here joining us on Wake Up Missouri.
Brad, talk to us a little bit. We've been hearing that because of the shutdown, a lot of the economic data and indicators isn't available, and so there might be increased interest in data like the data that you all have been putting out. Have you been seeing that increased interest from folks?
Yeah, I think so, Steph. I think really it's kind of interesting. We've been doing this since '73, and I think as far as data goes on small business, so many people do turn to NFIB to look at this data, whether times are good. They especially look when times are bad. We do have peaks and valleys of interest, especially after an election. People really want to know, wait, what happened with the optimism index? Did it go up? Did it go down? What happened in November? And I think when you get a situation like this, we do have more interest. As a matter of fact, we're going to be launching a very short podcast every month that is going to highlight some of the numbers and explain some of the numbers in the Small Business Economic Trends survey. So I'm looking forward to that. And next month, I will be able to maybe talk about that a little bit more and give you the website and whatnot, because it's a good 15-minute little primer that Holly Wade, who is our executive director of the Research Foundation, she's going to do it. She'll have some guests on, hopefully Bill Dunkelberg. Bill Dunkelberg is one of the leading economists in the country. He has been fantastic for us, and he really started it in '73. So if anybody has a handle on the ebbs and flows of what's going on out there in the small business community, it's our own Dunk.
Brad, with the session right around the corner, legislative priorities for you and NFIB Missouri?
Well, I think, John, we're going to be looking at. I know I've heard some rumors about some tax packages. I don't have the particulars on those yet, but I've heard a little bit about that there may be some tax bills out there. There will be some tort reform bills. I guarantee you. As a matter of fact, next week I'm going to a meeting in Phoenix, and yes, I'm driving. I've had it with the airlines. I'm not even going to think about going and sitting in an airport for 8 or 9 hours when I could be halfway across Kansas or New Mexico. So Brenda and I are going on a road trip starting Friday. But, yeah, that meeting is going to be the American Tort Reform Association, so we'll be going down there to talk a little bit about some of the trends that you're seeing in the country on civil justice reform stuff, and that's very important to small business owners. So those are a couple of areas that I know we're going to be taking a look at. The child care area is something we still haven't gotten past, and it's still a problem. We've got areas of the state that our employers just can't find any child care. And the number one issue for small business owners, and has been for the last 40 years probably, is the cost of health care.
Yes, sir.
And as you guys have mentioned, it don't sound like it's going down. So,
Brad, you and I need to have a conversation. There's a better solution than what people are being told by brokers and others. We need to have a conversation.
Oh, there's no doubt. You know, we wanted to have association health plans for 100 years where associations could all band together to buy health insurance across state lines. That seemed like it was too logical because for whatever reason, we never could get that done.
Crazy.
Jim Talent was
there. You go.
Patron saint.
Well, they're talking about doing that with the shutdown. Yeah, they're talking about it with the shutdown. I think they've lost the opportunity, but that's another discussion. Brad Jones, Thank you very much, my friend. Safe travels on your way down to Arizona. All right, brother.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, when we come back, let's see what the market thinks about the market and about the shutdown. Stay tuned.
It's
Well, the markets did really well after news of a potential end to the government shutdown hit the headlines. And so we had the Dow up 0.81%, the S&P up 1.54%, the NASDAQ up 2.27%. And just for your information, the stock market and most retail stores are open today, but the banks, the post office, schools, some schools are closed. Your state government offices are closed today. So be aware of that. And as we look at the sectors yesterday, we saw the biggest gains in technology, communication services, and consumer discretionary. Now, Randy, you talk a lot about health. I usually don't, but this is some big health business news because the weight loss drugs is big business. The weight loss drug industry could be worth $150 billion by the early 2030s, according to Reuters. And there's been this big drama between the makers of those weight loss drug products. We had Pfizer and Novo Nordisk in this big battle to buy a company called Metsera. Now, Metsera says they're going to basically develop the next wave of weight loss drugs. I believe they have both injectables and the oral pills. And so initially, Pfizer had offered $7.3 billion to buy Metsera, but then Novo Nordisk came in with an unsolicited proposal to acquire them for $9 billion. Pfizer comes back with a $10 billion offer, which Metsera accepted on Friday. And so that is, Trump has been making a lot of comments about how he wants to try to significantly lower the price of these drugs. Of course, we had some issues from the supply chain during COVID, but really, I do feel like they become more accessible, and I've seen more and more people on those. I think Novo Nordisk had its own plan to develop the oral weight loss drug, and then they scratched that due to side effects. I think Metsera has kind of come out and said that their products aren't producing as much side effects, and we saw comments from Dr. Oz yesterday on Fox Business predicting that the oral medications could be as low as $150 monthly starting in here in just a few months, March of 2026. So you thought people were getting skinny now, but if you don't have to do the injection and you can only, and it's $150 a month, I think a lot of people will go for that.
Yeah, and I hope that people will, if and when it becomes affordable and almost commonplace for the 2/3 of folks that are overweight or obese, and many of them diabetic or pre-diabetic, in this Diabetes Awareness Month, you hope that folks will take advantage of that encouragement and inspiration as they lose weight to keep their body composition well. I really want to emphasize that. Take a little bit and buy a gym membership or buy some home weights and make sure you keep your muscles built up, because that's one of the casualties of these meds is you lose muscle mass very easily if you don't watch it.
Yeah.
Mindset for a lot of people, isn't it, doctor? They go, well, I got a pill. I don't have to work out.
Yep.
But then you can lose, your muscle mass, and you can lose bone density and other things.
They are so remarkably helpful for cardiovascular disease reduction and, kidney failure reduction and everything. So good news on the front. I mean, a lot of competition's good, right?
That's right. And so. Dr. Oz is saying this new deal with the pharmaceutical companies to try to bring these prices down will allow America to lose 135 million pounds over the next 12 months. When we used to do fun, especially into the spring, there was always a weight loss competition.
Biggest loser thing?
Yeah, we've got a scale out here in our break room. I think they've done it here at Zimmer before. Yeah. But do you have to sign a waiver now to say that you don't take the pill if you're on the weight loss competition?
No cheating.
Yeah, right? Is that cheating anymore? I don't know. How do you manage that?
The other really nice side effect of this that people have noticed is it reduces addiction cravings too for alcohol
100%.
And other stuff too. So it's good.
It gets rid of all the noise.
Yep. Drake's going, no good. I know. I want my addiction. No, Drake's only addicted to sports, right?
And nicotine in women.
Well, you could do worse.
And marching bands.
Back with a special comment when we come back.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
that's the U.S. Coast Guard theme. They are one of the service branches that I think is often overlooked when we talk about our military, but they do great work on the seas, and we want to salute them along with all of our service members who are veterans, served the country so bravely, and the support teams behind them, family and, well, workplaces and others. So we want to salute all of you on this Veterans Day 2025. You can go out to Hy-Vee and I'm sure many other business locations and get breaks today. Get I don't know, how long's that breakfast at the Hy-Vees across Missouri?
Until 10, and then they're also offering veterans a discount on their grocery purchases today as well.
Oh, good. Okay, good deal. Well, we're glad to see that, and we thank everyone for your service. And service members, active service members, are often granted those benefits too on these days, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Joining us now is I wanted to talk about the faith and how important faith is in the lives of our veterans and our service members. And joining us now is J.P. DeGrantz. He's the president, the founder of Communio, COMMUNIO, like communion without the N.org. And he joins us now. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here with you.
So let's talk about the mission of your organization. But I think, first of all, the spirit of the connection between faith and family and Veterans Day, because I know that as those the faith and family values in our country seem to have been eroded over the past generations, they have not been lost on veterans and their families.
No, and really right out of the blocks, the American chaplaincy program is actually older than the United States of America. Actually, as soon as we formed an army, about 40 days later, we formed a chaplaincy. And I think as long as there's been military service, we've understood that the soldier and the sailor ought to trust himself to Almighty God in his service. And I think that that tradition continues really to this day within the military, all the branches. And I think our military men and women, the veterans who've served, there's lots of evidence that on average they're more likely to be men and women of faith.
And we know that there are no atheists in foxholes, right? I mean, that's true.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I've friends who say in foxholes or at 35,000 feet when you're in an airplane. Those are a couple.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Or out in the middle of a broad ocean when you're taking incoming. Right?
That's right.
So I know your organization is involved with faith and family and connecting those important pillars of our society with various church organizations, right? With Catholic and Protestant and others. Tell us about it.
Yeah. We exist to support the local church to share the good news through the renewal of healthy relationships, marriage, and the family, right? And so we recognize that faith and the handing on of Christian faith is deeply interwoven with marriage and family life. And so we want to equip that local church to be able to do that well. And we do a lot of work with churches not far from military bases and where there's veterans and service members and a number of the resources we help our partner churches bring on are also some of the most widely used resources for relationship and marriage health within the U.S. military and the chaplaincy program.
And, I know that people talk a lot about the separation of church and state and the wall, but, you can't help but think that although I guess association does not causation make from a scientific standpoint, when we've seen the erosion of the nuclear family and the sad increase, I think, in so many single-parent homes, and it's so difficult for women largely to lead a home and work and supply their kids with what they need, and I think a lot of absent dads that have gone AWOL over the past generations. I mean, I think unless and until we restore that, a lot of our political problems, we're talking about SNAP benefits being more and more in demand, WIC benefits more and more in demand, housing crisis among, people that can't afford it. I'd like to think there is an association there. So talk about that a little bit.
Association. Yeah, no, I had a conversation, Randy, years ago with a chief of staff of the governor of Arizona, Doug Ducey's chief of staff, and he shared with me that 80%, in his estimate, back of the envelope estimate, he said that 80% of the state government spending was around mitigating the effects of the collapse of the family, right? So, when the family breaks down, you have to spend a lot more money to educate. You have to spend a lot more money to incarcerate. You got to spend a lot more money to medicate. And the reality is, we share with our pastors that we talk to, it doesn't only cause bondage to sin. Of course it does, but actually the collapse of the family preceded, and we believe caused the rise of religious non-affiliation and the falling away of Christian faith. You start to see in the 1960s with the retail victory of the sexual revolution over American life, you have the decoupling of sex from marriage from parenting, and parenting from partnering. Mm-hmm. And as that happens, there's less and less men in the home, just as you said. And there's less and less people experiencing God's covenantal sign for salvation, that's marriage in the home. They're less and less experiencing the love of an earthly father in the home. And so there's less and less people who believe in the divine love story between Christ and his church, and less people who accept the love of the Heavenly Father, right? And so if we're interested in reconstituting or producing that revival, obviously the Holy Spirit's not constrained by my social science, but the reality is we believe that the social science points at the way God ordered human history and human society. And so it's up to the church, the local church, to equip people and be that light, show people how to live out authentic Christian love in this 21st century moment, help people enter marriage well and live out a healthy and holy married life. If we do that, you're going to see tremendous healing across society and a revival of Christian faith.
That's J.P. DeGrance. He's president and founder of Communio.org. Joins us on Wake Up Missouri today.
JP, on this Veterans Day, a lot of folks out there thinking back maybe to their time in the military when you went to chapel and you had the choice of the Protestant service, or you had a Catholic priest, the chaplain saying Mass, and if you're on a big enough base or post, you had a rabbi, a Jewish chaplain. The question to you is, what is the modern era has added Islamic chaplains and all, and that was quite the transition for the active military, wasn't it?
Yeah, sure was. I know there's no doubt that our nation has moved fast in a direction of a sort of global multiculturalism that is kind of a divergence from where we were, say, 70 years ago, right? And so there's going to be increasing accommodations, and there's a legitimate question of how a continental-wide nation can embrace sort of multi faith and from such a wide variety of perspectives. We're certainly doing it. The military does it well, but this is something that, if you were in World War I, World War II, this would have been a very new thing in the life of the military.
Well, JP, thanks for being with us, and thanks for relating the importance and the connection between faith and military service and getting through it all. And I think the connection between families and supporting those military members through their faith and sort of that biblical message that is time-tested and time-true with Communio.org. J.P. DeGrance joining us this morning on Wake Up Missouri. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. Yeah, it's
interesting.
It is an interesting thing. And, I think as our society becomes more and more fractured with regard to faith, and again, we do live by that constitutional ethic of, hey, the government shouldn't establish a religion. I think we'd all agree with that. But I guess that was at a time when there was just an assumption that the Judeo-Christian themes were the ones that were dominant. And it got us to the dance pretty far, probably longer than any other Democrat civilization that has been around.
No, the U.S. military has Hindu and Baptist chaplains now, too.
Yeah. I remember there's I don't know if he's still there on staff, but we a few years ago I interviewed on the afternoon show. We talked with a gentleman who wrote a history about the chaplaincy in the military at Father Tolton. He's from Father Tolton High School, and I forget his name, but he wrote that. It was interesting. The chaplains back in the day, as I recall right, they would go around. They would have like portable organs that they would carry around and do their service, for the troops.
Yeah. That was a World War II thing.
Yeah. I mean, really, I'd never heard of that, and I thought, holy cow. But yeah, the guy was at Father Tolton.
They had their pulpit was their Jeep.
Yeah. Yeah, wild.
That's great.
The bully Jeep pulpit, yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's step aside, and when we come back, we have one more service branch to play the theme of today. We've covered the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Marines, and we have one more. What will that be? Drake's smiling. Do you know Drake?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, we'll play that when we come back. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up
to space. There's no limit to our sky. Standing guard both night and day. With the Space Force from on high.
Well, I don't. That's the Space Force theme here on this Veterans Day. A lot of comments on various platforms. It's like, wow, can we crowdsource a new one? Maybe Donald Trump wrote the lyrics and music to that.
Space Force, the final frontier.
That's just not, that's not my favorite. I love the Space Force. I love the idea of it. But that song.
They've got some crazy uniforms. You seen their uniforms?
Yeah.
They all look like Klingons.
They do. It's time when we look at our pile o prep and talk about leftovers. What do you have, Stephanie?
Well, we are getting a new report from our friends at DoorDash. They issued and we talked to our friend Brad Jones of the NFIB, of course, about the Small Business Optimism Index this morning. If you missed that, you can check it out on YouTube or Facebook or on our podcast later. But this is the State of Local Commerce report. The Breakfast Basics Index, tracking the cost of breakfast grocery goods. And DoorDash is saying since March that grocery prices on breakfast items have dropped 14% in just 6 months. They say this is one sign of strength in local economies. Consumers are stretching their dollars further. It's a good.
Was that driven by eggs dropping largely?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, pork prices are really good right now, too. I don't know how good they are for the producer, but for the consumer, they're pretty good.
Oh, bacon's not cheap, is it? Bacon's still up there,
But
isn't
it's
it?
not where it was.
Yeah.
Okay. It was $6 for 12 or so. Have you noticed they've, what do they call it, shrink-sized them? Shrinkflationed them? We used to get a pound of bacon. Now I get 12 ounces.
Yep. Has been for quite a while.
Now it's same with coffee, right? You don't buy coffee by the pound. You buy it by the 12 ounce now.
Same with dry dog food.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep, down from 50-pound bags to 45.
Yeah, well, there's Old Roy. Don't forget about Old Roy. John just gave it I'm kidding. I wouldn't feed our Simba Old Roy. I wouldn't do that. No, our Simba boy. Our blind dog. That poor dog, he runs into everything. Love that boy. I feel so sorry for him. He's got the stiffest nose in the country, that guy. What do you got, John?
Well, we heard Dave Griffith talk about the Missouri Veterans Commission to be fully funded and to take a $50 million allocation. Talked to Veterans Commission Director Colonel Paul Kirchhoff, who was on the KWS Saturday show. Mm-hmm. He said they've been doing a lot of work busily fixing roofs and floors and upgrading HVAC systems. They still have a big waiting list, and the Mexico and St. James homes are the closest ones to mid-Missouri, and the other one is Mount Vernon down in southwest Missouri, plus there are 4 more statewide. So hopefully they can get them up to full speed and get all the folks in there.
Hope so. Yeah, absolutely. Let's push for that whenever we can, however we can. Drake, what do you have?
So Kim Kardashian was, and I quote, so close to passing the California bar exam. She took the test and failed.
Oh,
Hasn't she tried before?
Yeah, she has. It's been like a 6-year journey. She said she plays a very well-dressed one on TV, but her journey is not over yet. So
some people just aren't cut out for the practice of law.
I don't know. You'd have to wonder about someone trying to be on the bar who has the judgment of hanging out with Kanye for too long.
I mean, it took Kamala a few tries, right? She didn't pass on her first
That's
time.
true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
she passed the bar.
Allegedly.
Okay.
I think that she should stick to, pubic panties and the hard-tip bras.
The Venn diagrams haven't quite aligned for her, have they?
Yikes.
What do you have, Steph?
Well, we've been talking about veterans today and honoring our veterans and celebrating veterans. And here's one veteran you might want to get to know. Missouri has a new head of AI.
Ooh.
The Office of Administration has hired Tim Marzewski to be Missouri's AI czar, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they're going to find ways to use AI in the state government to make the government more efficient and to move them forward. He previously served, he spent more than 2 decades as a military engineer and space operations officer. Okay. Joined the Army in 2009 and is now in Jefferson City doing our AI work.
So I guess he has some, through that military experience, some expertise in technology and AI, and, watch that grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just taking over their world. I mean, this reminds me what I feel a lot like I felt like during the late 90s when, real tech was taken off and things were just, the landscape was absolutely changed with internet and that World Wide Web. Remember that? No, you don't remember it, Drake. All right. Hey, that'll wrap it up for this edition of Wake Up Missouri. If you know a vet, give them a call. If you see a vet, thank them. And we'll plan on seeing you tomorrow, seeing what's going on with shutdown votes in the House.
Bye.